Shalom, shalom. This is your brother Shamak out of the Great Millstone Atlanta camp. Before I get started, I want to give all the glory, infinite praises unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak Kodash. Yahweh being the Heavenly Father's true name, and His only begotten Son's true name being Yahweh Shai, both in the Hebrew language, whom the world incorrectly calls God and Jesus Christ. I also want to give double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who teach and rule well, and who are the true leaders of the Hebrew Israelites in these last days. I also want to give a shalom to our sincere brothers that's pushing teaching the truth worldwide, and shalom to all you sincere believers. All right. I wanted to grab or bring out the King Solomon, truly his wisdom account. All right. When the Lord first granted him that spirit, of great wisdom. Okay. But first I wanted to grab, this is Sirach chapter 39, verse 2. Okay. Verse 1. It reads, "But he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High, and is occupied in the meditation thereof, will seek out the wisdom of all the ancient." And one of those ancient men of that wisdom, we have to be King Solomon. All right. If not, he's the wisest. Okay. And it says, and be occupied in prophecies. All right. Biblical prophecies that are coming to pass in these last days right now. All right. Verse 2, it reads, "He will keep the sayings of the renowned men, and where subtle parables are, he will be there also." And one of those renowned men is King Solomon. All right. I want to get that word renowned just very quick. All right. Renowned from the etymonlinedictionary.com. It reads from the 1300s. It says fame or glory attaching to a person, place. Also reputation, especially good reputation. State of having an exalted name. And King Solomon's name is definitely exalted concerning the Hebrew Israelite heritage, man. All right. Concerning our culture, our history. Okay. It says fame or glory attaching to a person, place, or reputation, especially good reputation. In the state of having an exalted name. And you see what it says, renown, fame. It says make famous. All right. And King Solomon was made famous through the account of 1 Kings chapter 3 through his wisdom. All right. Not through because he had hella, that came with it. That came with the rulership. He had hella women. He had hella money. That all came, but that was due to his humility and asking for wisdom. All right. So I wanted to grab, and of course, these accounts are written for our learning. For these accounts, for us to look back on, and to take heed and take into our own spirit and how we should move, according to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai's will. All right, the Lord's will. Okay, so this is 1 Kings chapter 3, and I'll start at verse 3. All right, and it reads, "And Solomon loved the Lord." All right, man, that's action based. That means Solomon. It said it's speak about in the book of John, if ye love me, 1 John chapter 5, verse 3, if ye love me, keep my commandments. So Solomon loved the Lord. That was action based. Solomon, of course, was a righteous man. All right. And Solomon loved the Lord, walking in the statutes of David, his father. All right. King David, also another renowned man. All right. Man, I should say. It says only he sacrificed and burnt incense in high places. And the king went to Gibeon to sacrifice there, for that was the great high place. 1,000 burnt offerings did Solomon offer upon that altar. Verse 5, In Gibeon, the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream by night. And the Most High said, ask what I shall give thee. Okay, verse 6. So this is a Solomon was in the spirit. All right. Verse 6 says, and Solomon said, Thou hast showed unto thy servant David, my father, great mercy, according as he walked before thee in truth and in righteousness, in uprightness of heart with thee. All right, and those are a few. And David did walk with that uprightness. One example being when King Saul, an unrighteous king over the nation of Israel, all right, being king before King David, all right, or being anointed king before King David, all right, was attempted to kill King David 3 times. All right. And King David showed mercy those 3 times as well. All right. So that shows you the level, the level of righteousness that in the uprightness of heart that King David had and established. All right. And that's something for, for us to look back on as well and respect. Okay. And also try attempt to carry that same like-minded spirit. But it continuing on, it says, and thou hast kept for him this great kindness, that thou hast given him a son to sit on his throne as it is this day. So Solomon was being appreciative. He was being grateful. All right. That the Lord allowed King David lineage to carry on. All right. And later coming into Yahweh Shah, who the world ignorantly calls as Jesus himself. All right. But verse 7, it reads, and now, O Lord, my power, thou hast made thy servant king instead of David, my father. And it says, and I am but a little child. I know not how to go out or come in. All right, that's humility. He's admitting, like, hey, I'm not, where I want to be. I'm not that, what he imagined a king to be. Okay. Verse 8, and then thy servant is in the midst of thy people, which thou hast chosen. Yeah, the Israelites. All right. King Solomon is a ruler over the Israelites, God's chosen people. All right. Which makes up the people today of you Negroes, Latinos, you Native Americans who are scattered worldwide, all over the earth. All right. Not just in one country, not just in one continent, all over the earth. All right. It says, and thy servant, verse 8 one more time, and thy servant is in the midst of thy people, which thou hast chosen, the Israelites, a great people that cannot be numbered nor counted for multitude. Verse 9, give therefore thy servant an understanding heart to judge thy people, that I may discern between good and bad. And for who is able to judge this thy so great a people? All right, we look back on this account as being the anointed leaders of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, the ambassadors and the messengers and the prophets and the men of the Lord of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua today. All right, those that, of course, that are sincere in its entirety and in truth. All right, verse 10. In the speech pleased the Lord that Solomon had asked this thing. Verse 11. So, so clearly King Solomon asked for understanding of heart. He asked for an understanding heart so he may judge uprightly concerning the children of Israel. All right. He could have asked for anything. All right. As the scripture is about to mention. Verse 11. And the Most High said unto him, because thou hast asked this thing and hast not asked for thyself long life, neither hast asked for riches for thyself, nor has asked the life of thy enemies, but has asked for thyself understanding to discern judgment. Okay. King Solomon asked for understanding. He didn't ask to live forever. He didn't ask for the highest paycheck and all the money in the world. All right. He didn't ask for, this person who he just, hated to get put to death. He asked for understanding to discern judgment, because that's what trumps all. Okay. Verse 12. Verse 12 it reads, behold, I have done according to thy words. Lo, I have given thee a wise and an understanding heart. The Lord's spirit quickeneth. Okay. So that there was none like thee before thee, neither after thee shall any arise like unto thee. All right. And that's so true to this very day. King Solomon as the wisest. All right. King Solomon as the wisest king that the Lord set up. Verse 13. And that wisdom is also going to be exemplified in this chapter as well. It reads, and I have also given thee that which thou hast not asked, both riches and honor, so that there shall not be any among the kings like unto thee all thy days. And if thou would walk in my ways to keep my statutes and my commandments, as thy father David did walk, then I will lengthen thy days. All right. It says, verse 15, and Solomon awoke, and behold, it was a dream. And he came to Jerusalem and stood before the ark of the covenant of the Lord, and offered up burnt offerings and offered peace offerings, and made a feast to all his servants. Verse 16. Now this is about to go into the situation at hand. All right, where that judgment had to be discerned by King Solomon. And this is what he asked for in the spirit, quickening that spirit of what he asked for, what he prayed for. All right, in that dream by night. So this is 1 Kings chapter 3, verse 16. All right, and this is a great example. And it was, it was truly brilliant, on the spot, for he to quickly respond concerning this matter. All right. And Lord willing, we hope to have that same, that likewise, judgment and discernment in the days that we're coming into and in our day-to-day life, because we're going to have to lead our people. All right. As being, because the scriptures speak about, where, I'm slipping a thought, but to whom much is given, much is required. Okay, so 1 Kings chapter 3 verse 16. Then came there two women that were harlots unto the king. And so these are two women that were harlots unto the king and stood before him. And the one woman said, O my lord, I and this woman dwell in one house, and I was delivered of a child with her in the house. And it came to pass the third day after that I was delivered, that this woman was delivered also. And we were together. There was no stranger with us in the house, save we two in the house. So the women, making it very clear, like it's just us in the house. All right, just us two adults. All right, us two women. Verse 19. And this woman's child died in the night because she overlaid it. Verse 20. And she arose at midnight and took my son from beside me. Wow. So yeah, she accidentally killed it. All right. It says, while thine handmaid slept, and laid it in her bosom, and laid her dead child in my bosom. So she tried to do the switcheroo. Okay. Verse 21. And when I arose in the morning to give my child suck, try to breastfeed the child, feed the child, it says, behold, it was dead. But when I considered it in the morning, behold, it was not my son, which I did bear. Verse 22. And the other woman said, nay. Likewise is no. It says, but the living is my son, and the dead is thy son. And this said, no, but the dead is thy son, the living is my son. That thus they spake before the king. So they are going back and forth, going at each other. No, that's my son. No, that's my son. All right. When then they both know the truth. All right. But it was up to King Solomon to put that wisdom and that judgment and an understanding heart to the test by the Lord. Okay. Verse 23. Then said the king, King Solomon, the one saith, this is my son that liveth, and thy son is the dead. And the other saith, nay, but thy son is the dead, and my son is the living. All right, so they continue to going back and forth. And the king said, bring me a sword. And they brought a sword before the king. And the king said, divide the living child in two, and give half to the one and half to the other. All right, this was a wisdom, mechanism that King Solomon used, man. All right. Quick, that allowed, and that brought forth the opportunity for, quick and nothing but, straight spirit to come out of these women, for it to be revealed. All right. Verse 26. Then spake the woman whose the living child was unto the king, for her bowels yearned upon her son. And she said, O my lord, give her the living child, and in no wise slay it. But the other said, let it be neither mine nor thine, but divided. And now, of course, and logically, that's basically killing the child if you divide a baby in half. So King Solomon knew right then and there off their responses who the true mother of the child was. Verse 27. Then the king answered and said, give her the living child, and in no wise slay it. She is the mother thereof. That judgment, that example of how he solved that matter was just so quick, and so creative, that wisdom went through all out Israel, verse 28. And all Israel heard of the judgment which the king had judged, and they feared the king, for they saw that the wisdom of the Most High was in him to do judgment. See, King Solomon, it went all throughout Israel of that example. All right. And it's even reached thousands of years later to us. All right. That's how heavy this example of this account, truly was, and it was creative. Okay. Just for the lack of better words. All right. But King Solomon, this was all due to, that humility of asking for wisdom, asking for the spirit of things and not carnal things. Let me grab James chapter 1. All right. And these scriptures, back up just that. Okay. This is James chapter 1, verse 5. If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of the Most High, that giveth to all men liberally. All right. So yeah, the Lord's not going to ask you to pay him a paycheck for him to answer your prayers. No, he gives it freely. All right. And upbraideth it not. Yeah, he doesn't withhold it. Being selfish with the gifts of the spirit. It's all about whose spirit is meat, who's acceptable to receive those gifts of the Spirit: faith, patience, love, kindness, all right, strength, all the fruits of the Spirit, okay? And it shall be given him. Verse but yeah, that's James 1:5 one more time. If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of the Most High. And that's exactly what King Solomon did. All right, and that's looking back on this account. We are to do the same likewise thing, man. Because we've seen what the result there was, man. Great judgment and great leadership by King Solomon. All right, as one of those renowned men in our heritage, one of our forefathers. All right. It says, let him ask of the Most High, that giveth to all men liberally, and upbraideth not, and it shall be given, him. All right. So, there it is, man. King Solomon wisdom account. It's truly an account for us to look back on and respect, and attempt, to follow in those same footsteps. Okay. So, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying and also encouraging to you sincere believers concerning King Solomon wisdom's account. All right. I will end out by giving all the glory, infinite praises unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak Kodash. All right. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. All right. And Shalom. Shalom. Keep the faith.